All right, so welcome back, man. Let's get into this continuation of this countdown of the top 50 underrated classic albums. We at number 16, OC, World Life. Very underrated classic album, World Life, Wild Pitch Records. You know about OC, those who are familiar with this guy, he made his recording debut in 1991 as a guest appearance on Fudge Pudge off of Organized Confusion first album. And 3 years later, he released his first album in 1994, World Life in 1994, October 18th. But there was an opportunity for Nas to make a guest appearance on OC's album. When I did my research on this book, on this album, World Life, that's what I got out of it. I noticed that it said that Nas had an opportunity to make a guest appearance, but he didn't show up for the recording session. So World Life was still a classic album, regardless. And because of its critical acclaim, it's beloved in hip hop circles. The album had 14 songs, the majority of the album produced by Buck Wild, the DLTC crew. The lead off single of the album was the greatest hip hop song ever, one of the greatest ever, Time's Up. One of the very important songs because the song was directed at the thug post posturers who was flooding the hip hop scene at the time. Those posturing as thugs. And Time's Up was also about what makes a rapper real. He mentioned that he'd rather be broke and have a whole lot of respect than Born to Live was kind of a crossover attempt to sell some records. Born to Live, OC represented the new breed of MCs in terms of leaving behind the era of the native tongues, the anger of Public Enemy, NWA, and other artists that came out prior to OC's debut. Despite not having any famous guest appearances on the album, Word Life will go down as one of the most underrated classic albums of all time. If our history definitely was, man. It's underrated. Again, Buck Wild did his thing. Uh, it's very philosophical, intellectual approach to lyrics. That's what he brought to the table, OC. And it was all obviously overshadowed, by Illmatic, Biggie's album, Ready to Die. Stuff that Craig Mack did in '94, Keith Murray, J. Rule Damager. I mean, so much stuff that was going on the East Coast. Like, it was tough to branch out and be set apart and see, okay, this guy's doing his thing. It was very difficult. So the intellectual lyricism, rather than relying on the increasingly popular gangster rap features the era, OC focused on destroying MCs with raw intellect, sharp metaphors, and social commentary. So he broke down complex societal realities without resorting to anything that was gimmicky. You know, DIT's pedigree, that makes a whole lot of difference. OC had his own thing going with that. Time's Up, calling out fake MCs. Again, that's a very important song at that time. Born to Live, and you know, I like many 90s albums that fell into label interference on filler tracks. Where Life was tightly curated, boasting zero skip worthy moments to hip hop hardcore heads. Because you couldn't skip this album. It wasn't no album that you could skip for like song for song. Every song on there was great. It's just that again, it was overshadowed by Illmatic. It was overshadowed by Ready to Die. And it was a great album. It was overshadowed. There was so much stuff going on in '94. '94 may have been the second most important year in rap music, next to 1988. '88 always gonna be the number one year because everybody was coming out with great stuff. But '94, you gotta put that maybe the second greatest year because what was breaking out, wasn't always political. That had changed. New artists doing their thing, and everything became more mainstream in a sense. But at the same time, there's certain artists that couldn't get that breakthrough because so many great albums coming out at that same time. It gets lost in the shuffle. And I think that's what happened with this album OC, the timing of this album. It came out in 1994. Maybe the greatest year of all time. But I think '88 gets the nod with that. The competition was definitely thick. Biggie and Nas and Wu-Tang Clan, stuff that they were doing. Craig Mack, even him. It's just tough to stand out. Keith Murray, J. Rule Damager, man. East Coast artists on that time, the new artists, man, was just doing it, man. It was about them. It wasn't about, anybody that's gonna be separated. How you gonna separate yourself? You got Pete Rock Seal Smooth made a great album in '94. Many ingredients. So many great stuff, man. So it's still a classic album. You can check it out when you get a chance, but it's still a great album by OC. Very underrated MC, very underrated rapper. Definitely check this stuff out. So that's it, man. I'm done with that. Check it out later. Talk to you later.